Hey everyone, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. And welcome back to another episode of my business journal slash diary, whatever you want to call it. And in this episode, I've got some exciting upgrades for my Bambu P1S and the P1P. And this is something that I've actually waited for quite some time. When Biqu first announced their new cryo grip plates, I kind of jumped on the bandwagon and I ordered the stuff. And what I ordered was their first cryo grip that they had. I think it was the Frostbite. And then they have the second one, which was a smooth one, which was mainly for the PLA and PETG prints. And that's what I ordered. I ordered the cryo grip, which is for all materials. I think a month after ordering my Frostbite plate, and that's because they had a promo going on. I think you buy one get one free, so I jumped on that just to have cryo grip plates on both of my printers. And then, in the meantime, I was waiting for my cryo grip plates. I think it's the smooth one, whichever one. I don't know the exact name. And I also ordered, along with that, I ordered the jetpack, the Biqu jetpack that they have, which is supposed to make the cooling much better during your prints. And I was like, okay, cool, I want to get that. And also what I wanted to do is get the hardened gears, the set for the P1P, because I don't have that on the P1P. I got it from Bambu directly for the P1S. I did that upgrade, but I just didn't have that for the P1P. And when I noticed that Biqu was doing that, I was like, okay, cool. I order from Biqu or Big Street Tech, same thing. The Hardened claw extruder bit, right? The gear set. So that's what I've been waiting for the last 2-3 months. It's been a really long wait, and I'm kind of annoyed that it was all shipped together, because I was hoping that the jetpack and the gear set would be shipped separately while the production for the smooth cryo grip plate was being done. But unfortunately that didn't happen, and it all got shipped together. So what that meant is I had to wait for the smooth one to actually get shipped and made. So it's really annoying because I wanted to have the jetpack on that printer for the last month or two, and I've been checking constantly the tracking, and I only got it yesterday. So it was my excitement is actually here, and I managed to find some spare time to film the video and kind of upgrade the the Hardened kind of cover for the P1S and the gears for the P1P. But anyway, let's open it up, and first and foremost we've got the Panda Jetpack. I really like the packaging on it. It's quite cute with the little panda itself having a bamboo jetpack. Really like that, really cute design. And let me actually open it up just to see what's inside. There was an option just to get the fan duct itself, but I kind of just wanted to go for all in, because if you just order the fan duct, what you need to do is actually remove the front part of the assembly, and then kind of rip out the existing fan duct that you get with the bamboos, and I just didn't want to do that in case I screwed something up. So I was like, listen, I'm gonna spend the extra €10. I think it was only €10. It wasn't that much more to get the jetpack itself, and it looks cute. It looks cute. It looks nice, honestly, and we'll see how it looks on the print. But anyway, opening up the box, what we have is this. We've got the little instruction manual on a QR code here, which is quite nice. And then I've got a bunch of stickers as well. I don't know where they go, but we'll see in a second. And then inside is the jetpack itself. So it is quite lightweight. I think it's made from some carbon fiber reinforced stuff, because it seems like it, right? But anyway, here is the fan duct itself, right? Just at the bottom here is where the improved, supposedly, air cooling comes out of. And looking at other YouTube videos, apparently there is a difference. There is a substantial noticeable difference in especially printing overhangs and whatnot. So which is kind of why I wanted to get this specifically for. And inside there's also two little Allen keys. And the main modification that I'll have to do on this is, if you notice, the fan isn't included. So there is some fan mounting holes here. And what you need to do is you need to basically remove the existing fan that's on the fan, the duct itself, the cover, right? You need to remove it from the cover and then install it here. So that's quite simple, honestly. You just unplug it. It's easy to remove anyway, and then just do that. So that's what I'm going to be doing on video later on. But let's move on to the next part of the excitement. I'm just going to plop it here, which is the hardened gear set. So there it is. There is the hardened gear set, and opening it up, it's quite nicely packaged. It's a nice package size design. The gear itself looks quite nice. I really like the brass coloring on it, and I kind of wish that I'll be able to see the internals of the extruder assembly, kind of like what you get on the A1 with the little spinny wheel. It would be really cool just to see it continuously going, right? So I'll see if maybe with the jetpack I'll be able to see that. If not, it's fine. It is what it is, right? It's probably going to be hidden behind the Hardened itself. So alas, American dream. So that's going to go into my P1P just here on my right, and then the plate I've been waiting for so long is here, right? So let me unpackage it, throw the rest of the stuff down, and I've opened it already just to have a quick look, and here it is, right? Both sides the same. So PLA is 30 to 50 degrees apparently, and PETG is 50 to 70. I can kind of feel a bit of the stickiness or different texture definitely on this this plate already, this build plate. And as what you can see actually is they have not painted the little area that the printers kind of wipe their nozzle on, compared to the other cryo grip, which is here. They still kind of left that painted over, right? So then when it comes to actually printing the stuff with a new build plate, what I found is that after the stuff gets cleaned, some of that paint gets kind of deposited alongside the purge line, but it hasn't made it onto the prints, which is good, right? I wouldn't want to have that kind of be on the print bed. But here's the difference between the two, right? This one is more bluish. I think this is way lighter blue, right? Which is the glacier one. So this is the Frostbite, and this is the glacier then. And this one, the glacier one, had a QR code that you install for the X1Cs, right? But this one doesn't have the stickers that you'd put on. It just comes with the kind of QR code already installed. It doesn't matter because I've got the P1 series, so they don't have the lighter color reading on it, so I don't care. Like, it makes no difference to me. But this one is exclusively to be used for PLA and PETG, and considering the fact that I mostly just use these two materials, that's what I think I'm going to go for down the line. Now, I know that in between me ordering the Biqu cryo grips, Bambu came out with their own cryo grip plates kind of stuff, right? The cold plates that they have, and apparently they're really good as well. I think price-wise, the Bambu ones are a bit more expensive, so I'll see how this one performs and does. And later on down the line, I might just upgrade my printers to the Frostbite, right? So currently I've got the cryo grip going on, the glacier one going on there all the time. So that's that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot a video of how I kind of disassemble the front end assembly and install the new jetpack. So give me a second to just reposition the camera and everything like that, and we'll jump right into installing the jetpack. And I'm going to be using the new Biqu Cryo Grip Frostbite build plate on it as well. And we'll see how it performs with the first sprint that I do on it. Okay, so we're now at my P1S. And as you can see inside, I've got the front end assembly here, and that's what we're going to be replacing. So let me first turn off the printer, because we don't want to damage the printer itself right while we're changing the fan. It's a simple swap, but I do not want to mess with it because it would just be a shame to have this out of service. So removing the assembly is quite easy. All you do is just take off the front and remove this little itsy bitsy port. Right, so that's that. Right, so what we're going to be doing up next is I'm going to be removing a screw here and a screw here that's behind the cable. Right, that's kind of all that we need to remove, and yeah, it's quite simple. But looking at the jetpack and the original OEM assembly, there is a difference in the fan duct system itself, right? So if you have a look at the bottom here, and let me just move just so you can see a bit more, right? What we have here is you've got just the fan duct coming out here and here, right? So the air is coming out of this side and this side, and compare that to the Panda Jetpack that has the air coming out of 4 edges, right? So one, like all 4 sides edges are having air. So it's supposed to help, we'll see. But anyway, without further ado, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the Allen keys that were included in the packaging, and basically I'm just going to remove this and swap it over. So give me just one quick second, and I'll be back with you once I'm done with this. Okay, so I've managed to install the fan in here, and as you know, it was just quite a bit of a pain to kind of install the screws in here, as they kind of kept falling out. So it really just kind of was a matter of getting it in properly and fully to kind of make sure that it sits in right. And what I did with the other one, I just put it back into the original box just so I have it for the future in case something happens to this existing assembly, right? But anyway, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to connect the fan connector to the extruder itself, right? So let me just plug it in. Sits in there nicely, right? Nice and tight, and then just mount it. But for this one, what you got to make sure is you kind of go under and over the hot end extruder part, right? Because simply of the way that the fan ducts are made. And apart from that, just push it in a little bit to make sure that the magnets in here become aligned, and that's it. It sits in here nicely. So now let's turn the printer on and see how we get on. It shouldn't scream at us or anything like that. Should be all good. So happy days. And what I'm going to do as well is I'm going to install the cryo grip as well, and then it sits in here nicely. Let's close the window. It's a bit dirty. I know I need to clean it, but usually what I do is I print with the glass window open anyway for PLA. So what we're going to do up next is we're going to move over to the P1P, and I will take apart the extruder and change out the gear set. So let's jump into the P1P and start working on that. Okay, so we are now at the P1P, and the gear set, the claw, actually is more complicated than the jetpack itself, right? Because what it means is what we need to do is actually take off the cover, right, and then unscrew the extruder and the gear set itself, which is just a bit more complex. So first, let's start by unplugging the printer or turning off the power, right? And I'm going to give it about 10, 30 seconds just to kind of make sure that whatever energy that there is not there anymore, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm also going to take out my various parts that I have for the printer, right? Mainly the Allen keys. And what I have here actually is a nice box that I printed using the colors that came with the P1S, right? So quite nice. It's quite a handy print, to be honest. Honestly, cannot complain about it. And right, so that's done. So kind of like what we did previously on the P1S, let's take out the fan duct front end assembly. And then I don't have any filament. Well, before we start, what I should have said is, if you've got filament loaded up, what you want to do is you want to make sure that there is no filament in here, right? And that it's all grand. So, up next, what you want to do is take apart the assembly. So, we're going to take the hot end out, and I'm going to disconnect these cables in a second. But let's work on this. So, I'm just going to speed this up because it's honestly kind of a pain to just be talking about it and doing it at the same time. Plus also there's the wiki, which kind of walks you through exactly how to do this. And it's pretty straightforward. Honestly, I cannot find any faults with how the wiki is written. So without further ado, let me speed this up and I'll see you once the stuff is disassembled. Okie dokie, so we've got the claw extruder part disassembled, right? But what I'm going to do next is I'm going to move to the desk, and then we're going to continue on with changing out the plastic gears that are here with the claw gear set. So let's jump right into it. Okay guys, so we're now at the desk where I have the the assembly itself here, and basically we can see up closer the plastic gears that we're going to be replacing, as well as the existing kind of grip parts of the extruder here that are going to be replaced. It's a quite simple process, to be honest. It's just a matter of removing 4 screws, loosening one screw that kind of puts the pressure on the hand, on the gripping hand, so to speak, and then just putting it back together. It doesn't take longer than a minute or two, really, if you know what you're doing. So let's just start by unscrewing the 4 screws that we have here. And then I've got these loose, these loose, these loose, and the last screw is loose as well. And it just comes up, right? Boop, done. Now, on the other side, the screws are going to start coming out, but that's fine. I'm not going to lose them. So as you can see here, we've got the gear, the plastic gear that kind of interacts with the gear inside of the extruder itself. And then we've got the little kind of filament grip here part, right? So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking this out and replacing it with the Hardened set, right? So first what I want to do is I just want to put some grease on the gears itself, just to kind of help it be lubricated. I don't want to put too much grease because it's, you know, too much is never good. So I'll be very careful just to put a small amount, and you got to be very careful as well to only put grease on the gears itself, right? Only on the gear part. You don't want to put grease here, which is where the filament is being kind of gripped, because you putting grease there kind of defeats the whole purpose of a better grip. Right, it's all just going to slide around, and you're going to end up with just slipping filaments. So if you do somehow get grease on the on this part of the gear extruder set, you're going to have to wash the whole assembly in soap, just to get rid of the the grease. So I'm going to be very careful to only put it on the parts that I want, right? That's why I kind of made a smaller hole, is I'm just kind of basically lightly kind of rubbing it with the grease, just so it's kind of there. Now over time it's going to be obviously spread around the other teeth of the gear, so I'm not too worried if I don't hit everything perfectly. But I'm just putting enough, right? Enough. Too much is not good. So I'm going to kind of rub off the rest. I'm being very careful to kind of avoid putting any grease on that part that I just spoke about, because it'll just ruin it all, and I don't want to do that. Okay, so we've got this part done, and I'm going to put the part, the grease that I just kind of rubbed off, on the other part of the assembly, right? So let me just grease this up a little bit, and I mean a little bit, like I'm not going to use the whole packet at all, just enough so it's kind of there in between the teeth of that gear. So I've got this done. I've got some grease on my hands, but that's fine because I'm making sure not to touch the stuff. And I got the stuff on. I got some of the grease unfortunately stuck on the filament teeth. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to go and wash it and redo it. And unfortunately, that's what happens in these kind of small assemblies, is that it's very hard to kind of make it all perfect. So give me a second and I'll be right back. Okie dokie, and I am back. I managed to clean the whatever, it was tiny bit of grease just around there, but I didn't want to risk it. I still wanted to be sure that I get the best of this thing. So I'm going to be super extra duper careful when going about parts of that that claw, right? Because I don't want to have to kind of clean it again, because it was a bit annoying trying to clean it perfect. Now I gotta be very careful how I handle it as well, because if it's gonna be on my fingers, it's gonna end up on that claw. So I've got that main kind of gear all done. So let me now rotate it and just use my finger to kind of, ooh, that's a lot of grease. And put some little grease here, grease here, grease here. Now I'm being very, very, very careful not to touch the top with my greasy fingers, because yeah, as I said, it'll be very, very annoying to have to be doing it again. So with my clean hand, I'm inserting the other part of the extruder in there, right? And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing the same, but only on the toothed side of the gear, right? So let me kind of get some of the grease out, being very careful about it. And I'm getting my desk dirty, but that's okay, because I can just rub it off and be fine. Now I'm going to use my clean hand to kind of rotate it a little bit, just to kind of make sure that the grease only ends up on that side of the gear, right? It's very, very, very difficult to kind of get it all perfect. I'm just doing little dabby dabs. I'm not trying to be too exact, because it's just going to get spread over later on. Anyway, that's done now. So I'm going to clean my hand using a paper towel, right? Just to kind of get the grease off my fingers. And we're going to continue on with the second part of the assembly, right? So once you've kind of lubed it all up, right, it's kind of looby here, it's all grand. What you want to do is you want to remove the old part, right, the other hand, that kind of helps grip the filament. So just loosen up the screw, and I've got some grease on my Allen key, which I don't want. So you got to loosen up this screw, and you got to loosen up quite a bit, because you kind of don't want much pressure to be on it, and be able to just freely pull it out. That's what's tricky with this. But honestly, it's easy as it goes on later on, right? There we go. See, now I will just freely rotate it, and what I'm going to do is just pull it out. There we go. And the spring kind of came out, but that's fine. That's not an issue. And what we're doing is we're literally putting the assembly here into the stuff. So it's really a drag and drop kind of operation that we're doing, not much else. So let me pull out the screw a bit more, because as you can see, I didn't want to fully sit in. But now it's all in. I'm going to hand tighten this part of the assembly and then continue on just using the Allen key. It's much easier with the Allen key, and just at the end you're just going to have to put a bit more force into screw it in together, just to make sure that there is enough pressure always gripping the filament, right? Because that's the whole point as to why we're installing this assembly. Cool, that's all done. Basically what we're doing is we're just going to drop this in, the second part, up on top. So we're going to join it together. I'm being very careful as to how I'm handling it, just because of the grease, right? I'm just being very, very super duper extra careful, because having the grease isn't ideal. Now I got to be also precise in how I go to install the stuff, because it's also a bit tricky to kind of get it all to jump in together, right? You got to kind of rotate the assembly, right, so that the teeth in there inside align, right? Because if it's not going to be rotated, they're not going to be aligned, and they're not going to want to jump in together. So you kind of want to make sure that you kind of spin this gear here together and make it all jump nice. So last but not least, right, is putting in the screws in here. So I've got my Allen key, and just drop in these screws, and yeah, tighten these up, and we're done. So once you've got these tightened up, right, dropped in, we're going to go back to the 3D printer and install it there. So there we go, right? I'm just kind of gonna make them tight, just to make sure they just don't come loose during the print. And as I keep touching the big gear, I keep getting some grease on my fingers, which is a bit annoying. So make sure that you do have a kitchen towel close to you. But yeah, there we go. That's done, right? So see you in a second to the at the printer, right? What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this in some paper, or I'm just going to push the grease using the paper back inside, right? And then I just put it all into the box. So I'm going to put the old extruder set in the box here, as well as the little gear, so that later on when it comes to it, I'm going to leave the spare bearings as well inside. I'm just going to drop it all in here, so I have a spare set. Now hopefully I shouldn't need to replace this at all for the lifetime of the printer, simply because it's just hardened materials and whatnot, and I'm just printing PLA, so the wear and tear on this assembly isn't going to be huge. But anyway, see you back at the printer in a second. Okay, so we're back at the printer, right? And what we're going to do is I'm going to install it back. So basically what we're doing is just doing the same steps as we did beforehand, once again in a reverse order, right? There isn't much to it. It's simple stuff. So let me start by installing the gear set into it, right? So there is a little gear in here as well, as you can see, and that's going to kind of mesh in with our little set that we have, right, for little gear. So make sure you put it in the correct way, and that it slots in nicely, right? It's in nice. I'm gonna connect the cable up here as well, just to make sure that it's all plugged in, because it'll be just a bit more difficult later on down the line. And we're going to install the screws that were holding this together. So quick and easy, right? isn't much to it. It's quite simple. It's 3 screws that we're working with, and once we're done with that, right, what we're going to want to make sure is that the PTFE tube that we have goes back in fully, because if we don't have that, that's going to cause us issues down the line. So this is installed, and then the last screw goes at the bottom. I'm going to plop it in. There we go. So my hands are a bit greasy, so it's hard to kind of just do a quick install. But anyway, that's that install, right? Cool. So up next, as I said, we're gonna push in the PTFE tube and make sure it's in. And it's in, right? It sits there nice and tight, not moving or anything like that. And then once again, we're gonna install the hot end, right? So let's push it, let's plop it in this way, and it goes in. I'm gonna move this closer just a bit to me because the poop chute is kind of just blocking the ease of access. So this way, plop it in, and nice. Cool. So there is a bit of a, difficult part in it all, right? Is that these cables are a pain in the arse to install. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to quickly just install the filament cutter. Sorry, I'm just blocking your view, but it's just how the installation just goes of the printer. So you want to make sure that the screw goes back in fully, so that it kind of gets, the filament cutter is in place, right, and it doesn't slip out. So that's done. Up next, as I said, I'm going to install those little 2 screws into the hot end assembly. So they're in, and then just give it a tight. So it's nice and tight in there and doesn't come loose. That's one. And it's 2. Cool. They're nice and tight in there, so I know they're not going to come loose. And now for the most difficult part is kind of just doing the cabling routing in here. It's like the difficulty, as I said, oops, that fell, with it is just that they're kind of stiff cables, and I just don't want to damage them at all. So the first cable came in nicely. I'm going to push it down and push it in, done. We've got the second cable kind of going in as well. Plop it in, make sure that it's aligned, and it's in. Right, so this time it was quite easy. But if you've got a new hot end that kind of doesn't have the path already in it, it can be quite a hassle. So last part of it all is just installing the fan part of the extruder, and that's quite simple. As we saw previously, it's just plopping it in, boom, done. Simple, right? So that's that done. That's the maintenance part of working on the printer done. Let's turn it on, and hopefully there's going to be no errors at all. Plop it up, because that's not what we want, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a test print as to see how it looks with how the stuff prints with the new Panda Jetpack, right? That we have here, with our new Panda Jetpack and our cryo grip plate as well. So give me a second just to decide on what print I want, and I'm going to get back to you in a second. Okay, so the print is downloaded. As you can see, the printer is getting all ready to go to start printing. So I'm going to let it do its thing. I am recording a time lapse of the print. So once it's done, we're going to come back and record the initial, the first initial impressions that I'm going to have of this color, because to be honest, I have not seen Sakura Pink printed apart from on a Benchy, And that's something that I'm super excited to show you, because honestly, on a benchy, it looks amazing. So without further ado, get the printer do its thing, and see you soon. Okay, so the print is finished, and as you can see, it looks absolutely stunning. Um, it did take 8 hours up until 10 p.m. last night, so I decided to just leave it and let it be. But if we look at it from closer, up close, it looks great. Honestly, no issues at all with the print, and I'm really happy with how it came out. And to be honest, it sticks. Like, even if I shake it, it sticks no matter what. That's not something I would have been able to get on the regular PEI bed sheets, right? As they're kind of self-release, so once it cools down, boom, kind of ready to go. Pick it up, and that's it. But yeah, I'm honestly impressed with how it stuck, right? It stuck so well. I don't know if I'm gonna have issues taking off the little brim kind of stuff, right? The little outline, because I know on the sheet they said to actually just not do it, like don't put a brim on it like that, because you'll have issues. So yeah, let's see. Okay, so let's take it off. Honestly, it's actually coming off pretty well, pretty nice. No issues at all. So my worry was unwarranted, but actually, let's see if I can just take off that little brim with my fingernails. But dang, okay, it's not coming off that well. I was able to only get that little small piece off, which isn't ideal. Let's see if I can get it. No, I can't get it going, so I can just pick it up in one piece. That's yeah, that's annoying. I'm gonna need to actually print out the scraper, because I don't have the scraper printed to take off the stuff, right? Because I never had a need to have the scraper, but looks like I will be printing off a scraper. But anyway, that's for me to figure out later on. So far, thank you for watching. I'm glad you had a lot of adventure with me today, doing the jetpack, doing the new Frostbite build plate and whatnot, and trying out the Polyterra Pink PLA, Sakura Pink, really nice color. And actually, just what I want to add before I go, the bottom of the print is quite smooth. It's kind of like if you were to use like one of the silk smooth PI sheets and whatnot. Honestly, it doesn't have the rough texture as you would get with the other beds. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time around, where hopefully I have something interesting for another episode. So take it easy, have a great time, and bye bye.